everybody, and welcome to another episode of Insufficient Friends. I'm Kevin. She's Stevie.
Hi.
And Steve, how was your week?
It was good.
Good.
I was actually dog sitting, so I spent a lot of it at a house with the dog.
Okay.
Watching New Girl. I watched almost all of New Girl in a week. Have you ever heard of that show?
Yeah, I've seen some episodes. I've liked what I've seen. I've just never actually got into it enough to sit down and watch the whole thing.
It's like any sitcom, I think, but the characters are pretty lovable.
Okay. I like Zoe Deschanel as like a person, actress,
I like
whatever.
her too.
So that's yeah. I've seen. What did I see? I know I saw the one with Prince.
There is an episode.
I did see the one with
that
Prince because I know Prince was like a big fan of the show and wanted to be on it.
I know. How cool.
That's been a long time ago.
They've
But
had a couple famous people on there.
have they?
Yeah,
Okay.
Taylor Swift was on there.
Okay.
They'll have people I notice. They have a lot of funny enough. I watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's like I watch it like just every day.
Yeah.
It's just on. And they've had like 3 different characters cross over from that show. Not like they're not playing the same people, just the actors.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. I'm like, what was that, And
Okay.
they started, they're filming around the same time. So
Yeah. But
it's
that
just
kinda
kind
makes sense.
of fun for me.
Okay.
How about this weather?
It's wonderful. It's been so
nice.
nice. It's not 1,000 degrees outside. It's been in the 70s. It is great.
Yes.
But to bring everybody behind the curtain of our show, this week, I'm guessing you can tell me how this actually went.
Oh, okay.
But I'm guessing your travels last weekend didn't go well because in the middle of the week, I want to read everybody what I got when we were talking about when we were going to record this, because I got a text message from Stevie. Just it was on Thursday, just out of the blue, about when we can record. It says, also be thinking about this topic. Traveling by plane, pros and cons, airport snacks, how early you get there. Prefer early flights, later flights, stuff regarding planes. Anything regarding planes, LOL. I wrote down a lot of things during my travels. So, I'm guessing it didn't go well.
Okay. We're jumping right into it. So,
Yeah,
okay.
because I don't...
Well, funny enough, okay, let me start from the beginning.
Okay.
So, we were leaving to go to Jersey for a wedding.
Yeah.
See all my family. And, Friday night, we left on Friday. And, we had the whole day. I personally would have loved to have left, maybe not at the crack of dawn, but earlier in the day.
Okay.
Just so it's, get it over with, know? Because to me, a day of travel, the day I'm flying, all I'm really thinking about until the flight is over is
the
flying.
travel.
It's
Yeah.
not like I'm making a day out of my,
Oh, yeah.
It's not a free day, right?
No,
it's not a day off.
The travel is just the travel.
Exactly. Thank you. It's not a day to go do other stuff. It's a day to figure out when you're getting to the airport and get to the airport. Anyway, so our flight was at it was at 2, but we're not landing until 5, and then there was an hour delay because of weather in Philly. We were flying into Philly from St. Louis.
Okay.
So and it's on the tarmac, which is one of my biggest pet peeves. If we're going to be delayed an hour, let me go.
Tarmac is just,
Yeah. Let me walk around. Let me get up. Let me use the bathroom and, not in a plane. Let me get a snack, whatever. So I hate that. So we get there and we're already landing. Probably, I think it was going to be maybe 6 or 7-ish. And then it's an hour drive to Jersey from Philly. And there was a dinner party happening that night with my family that we ended up being too late to make because of this whole setback. And so that was annoying. And then on the way home, once again, I would have loved my flight. I love my family, but if I have a flight that day and it's going to take an hour drive and getting through a really busy airport, I just want to get to the airport and just not feel anxious about it. And just people wanted to hang out in the morning and talk, and I was just I just want to get to the airport. I wish my flight could have been much earlier in the day, but you win some, you lose some,
Yeah.
We get to that flight. We board. Everything's going just fine. It's one thing to tell us, hey, we're going to be sitting on the tarmac for 30 minutes, or hey, we're going to be sitting here for an hour because of weather. We sat for 45 minutes, and they didn't even tell us why. And then at about the 45, 50-minute mark, they said, sorry guys, we can't leave till everyone's in their seats. Someone just wasn't in their seat. I don't know who. I didn't see him, but that's what they said. So now I'm really annoyed.
I think that was a BS
Maybe
excuse.
covering something up. And then at that point, it's like, just say, because now I'm thinking worst case scenario this whole time, right? And on this flight, is this flight going to take off? What could possibly go wrong now? So we get into town later than we were supposed to, and we had to drive home from St. Louis that night because Will had class in the morning. I had to dog sit the next day. Like there was no point in staying there. So that was a lot. And then last night, like I mentioned, I'm dog sitting for these people all week. And their flight, they almost missed a flight because they had like a connecting flight. The first one was going to be late.
Yeah.
So they almost didn't make the second one. So I almost had to be there again
today.
Last night and today.
Yeah.
So just flying is like, I'm not winning here with flying.
I get that. I've only flown once in the past 15 years. Really? Yeah, because that's the only time I've really gone on vacation that I've needed to fly somewhere. So, so that's the once in the last 15 years, and I didn't. I understand the troubles. I see them all the time, especially around Christmas and any holiday. It's crazy. The airlines are always you have these massive problems. So I didn't have problems when I flew the last time. Amazing. I don't remember ever having major problems flying. It's been a long time again. A lot of them I was kind of a kid, so I probably wouldn't have known really anyway. I'm just, whatever. Along for the ride. But when I went last time, there wasn't really any issues. The only issue last time when I was flying back to Columbia is they started telling people that somebody was going to have to get off the plane because the plane was overweight. And I've never understood this process because seems like that's a problem. Like, I don't understand. I don't entirely understand the process of how, if the plane is full, it can be like, it seems to me like the plane should not be able to be full and be overweight.
I agree.
Because if the plane can be filled up, it shouldn't be able to be overweight. I know you can change, different things way more and stuff, so densities and all that kind of stuff. But in general, the plane should not be able to be overweight when it's full. Yeah. Easy. There should be you would think. Like, it should be designed somehow to where that can't happen. Because it happens a lot. It happened to my dad, actually, when I was a kid. He was coming back from a mission trip to Africa. Okay. And he got kicked off the flight because the plane was overweight.
That's crazy.
Coming back. So we went to the airport one night and he wasn't on the plane and we left, and then he came back we had to go back the next day because he was on a different flight.
Oh my gosh.
Because most people don't ever want to get off because they have things to do.
So he volunteered.
I don't remember if he volunteered or if they drew names.
Oh, wow.
They will draw names sometimes.
Yeah, because who's going to volunteer?
Well, some people volunteer because usually they'll offer something. Oh. Like one of the when I was there, they offered, I think, like so many points for your flight, or like, basically it would be like a free flight within the next year. But I'm like, I'm not going to fly in the next year. So I'll fly. It's the first time in 15 years I've flown. Right. I'm not going to fly in the next year. So it's not really going to make a difference to me. So it just kind of,
So you haven't had many chances for you to have like bad luck with planes then?
No, not really.
Another quick story. One time I was in high school and my dad and I were coming back from Philly again. Another wedding, actually. And not to mention, this isn't the plane's fault, but that Sunday we were coming back, I was so violently hungover.
Oh, hungover.
That, like, you can't make this stuff up. We were, like, pulling over, like, probably every 10 minutes in the car. I just could not, like, nothing would help. And so that's a whole other thing. Finally, it did stop once we got to the airport. Thank God.
We Being sick on a plane is probably... Did you hear? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Did you hear about the diarrhea plane? Yes. That has to be terrible for whoever that person was.
I mean, that's life traumatizing.
For everybody that was on that plane.
Yeah, that's embarrassing for your like soul. Like you will never forget that. Oof.
That is awful. But anyway,
They're being very generous by like not saying who that person is, but everyone on that flight now like saw them. You know, like that's still you feel very vulnerable in that situation. But yeah, getting sick on a flight, that's something thankfully I've never had to deal with. But so we're driving to the airport. I finally stopped throwing up, and our flight, we're literally on the flight, and I had school the next day, and I was never one that liked missing school for whatever reason. It would just stress me out.
yeah, that sounds.
And I had already missed that Friday
Mm-hmm.
from the weekend. So we're literally sitting, once again, on the tarmac. It's like 7 p.m. on a Sunday. We're about to go home. And, like, all the lights go back on, and everyone starts, like, getting their bags. I had my headphones in, so I didn't know. And my dad texted me, and he was like, and this was in, like, February, so weather was bad. And he's like, we're not going to make it home. Like, they said the weather was too bad in Missouri, so, like, we're staying here tonight. We get a hotel, and
Why did your dad text you? Was he not sitting next to you?
no, we didn't have seats together. We were just weren't. It just didn't work out.
Okay.
But
sorry, go on.
so yeah, I see him, and then we go back out, and we're waiting, and I'm already I'm crying, I'm sad, and he's like, we will get on the earliest flight. The earliest flight is full, but they're like, you can do standby.
Yeah.
Don't ever do standby.
You're not going to get anywhere.
You will not be getting on that plane. That is them kindly being like, figure something else out. Yeah. But if you truly think the odds are in your favor, you can try to get lucky and be on standby for this flight. So that didn't work out. And we met this couple along the way who was on the flight with us, who was going to the same, because we were flying out of Columbia Regional Airport. So it was this couple.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're telling us, like, how annoyed they are. One of them is a teacher, and she's like, I have to be at work tomorrow. Like, this is so annoying. And then they're on standby as well, which never in a million years would all four of us get on standby. So my dad's like, look, let's just split a car. And we were in Chicago at that point.
Yeah.
Let's split a car and drive back, because we're not getting on a flight tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, it was tomorrow at that point. It was Monday, and we all realized we weren't going to get on that flight. So my dad was like, let's just stop wasting time and let's get home. So that's what we ended up doing. And the only car they had, or maybe this was the cheapest, I don't know why, we drove like a yellow Jaguar back to Columbia. It was very random, but God, it was one of my worst traveling experiences ever. Yeah. Next question. If you're traveling, what's the amount of time where you go, I'm going to fly instead of try to drive this?
If I can't make it in one day.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. And what's your limit if you're just by yourself of like, I know I can drive for this many hours straight?
Probably 10.
I was going to say the same.
Probably about 10 hours. I've done 9-hour drives before, 9.5. So probably 10 is going to be about where I'm going to say, okay, that's enough for one day. Because by that point, you're starting to like get sore and tired of just sitting there. And, you know, it's kind of one of those things. So I would say probably about 10. And if I can't make it in one day, probably going to fly. Because I don't, when you're driving, my thought process on going on a trip or something is if I can fly there, one, I'm going to spend more time there. Going to be able to spend more time there, especially if it's going to take 2 days to drive there.
Yeah.
And so that's just 2 days out of my vacation. I can't do anything.
Exactly.
And I've got to pay for a hotel. I've got to pay for, you know, which I guess I'm going to pay for the hotel. I guess it depends on how you do it. Because if you leave a day early because you're going to drive and want the same amount of time there, then you're going to pay for an extra 2 nights of hotel for driving there and back.
Yeah.
But, which is, I mean, you can get a hotel cheaper than a plane ticket, but you're also paying for gas and everything else. So
right. It's like, does it really worth it? And taking more time. I agree. That's the thing. I'm usually pro flying in most cases, but lately I just don't know if it's worth it. I've just had such bad luck. It's really annoying.
Yeah. I feel like there's been more problems recently. I don't know if it's just because more people are flying.
Yeah.
If that's what it is, I don't really know. I can't really tell you.
But when you drive, you know, you're just in more control.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to get here at this time. If I have to stop, I can stop. If I have to use the bathroom, you know, if I'm hungry, I'll stop for food. It's not like, and yeah, it's more time than a plane would take. I don't know. It's looking more nice these days for me.
I mean, yeah. Again, it all just depends on where you're going. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I not to, you know, I'm gonna not to sound spoiled, but when I went on vacation last time, I paid to fly first class, so I had food on the plane.
Oh, yeah.
I had
See?
more room to sit,
Yeah.
so you get free booze with first class. So
Did you take advantage of that?
yeah,
Okay.
I had a couple on the flight, but you know, it's just part of. So that's something that I did. I kind of treated myself to that. So
Yeah.
it's just yeah. I don't know. And I always have a layover because I prefer to fly out of Columbia. Just
And they
because
can only go
you only can go so many places, so
Right.
you only can go 3 places or 2 or
Right.
3 places, and I don't like having to drive back after I get home.
Oh,
Once I get
me
back,
either.
I don't want it because when I fly, you asked about times. Like when I fly on vacation,
Yeah.
which is almost the only time I ever go anywhere. I want to leave as early as possible at the start and come back as late as possible when I get back.
Okay, see, I'm early both ways. Because once again, a travel day, if I wake up on vacation and I know I'm leaving that day, I'm not going to go try to do anything. It's a travel day. So I'm just like, let me just get home and then I can like relax once I'm home.
I don't necessarily try to do anything. I just want to have enough time to where I can get everything that I need to get gathered up and have plenty of time. Because I'm not there, again, I'm not in control of getting myself to the airport. So I am, using a car service or something like that. So I want to make sure that I have plenty of time to do
That's true.
everything and I can get all of the bags and everything packed back up because you've always got stuff that you bring back and everything else. So, and I would prefer not to have to do that the night before I actually finish my vacation.
Oh, see, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. So when I was the last night of my vacation before I flew back, I was, I went to Disney. We talked about that. I was in the park until 1 a.m. So that's,
I see.
I didn't want to have to pack all that stuff up that night after I did that. So
Right. Do you have like a routine at an airport? Do you like sit and then do you try to get food? Or you just like sit, get a spot, don't get up? What do you bring onto the flight? Are you bringing books?
no, I just usually listen to music or a
Okay.
podcast or something like that. Is almost all the whole thing that I did the whole flight. I downloaded several episodes of one of the podcasts that I listened to and just listened to that the whole time. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty much all I did. I've always listened to music or something like that. It's never been.
Do you do airport food or snacks?
Only if I'm hungry, not usually.
Just to get something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind of a bad habit, but if I'm traveling, I feel like I deserve a treat. And it's going to
Okay.
make my travels better.
Yeah,
So,
I get
like,
that.
road trips, stop at a gas station, I'm getting a snack.
yeah.
Probably multiple, even if I'm not hungry. At an airport, I'm going to grab a snack.
Well, see, usually the only time I stop at a gas station if I'm driving is to get gas or because I have to use the restroom. And I can't go in a place and use the restroom and not buy something.
Oh, it's impossible.
I can't. I feel guilty.
Yeah.
That's probably. I know a lot of people don't. I do.
Well, one thing about me, when I road trip, we're stopping every probably hour. Maybe hour and a half. I can try to make it 2 if I take a nap, but I drink a lot of water. and
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It doesn't sit well.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't get me. I can't get very far.
Okay.
So yeah, typically I'm stopping at a lot of gas stations. Every time I go to a gas station, I want a treat. Like I see everything. They just it's something in my brain that goes, oh,
yeah.
find your aisle, pick your snack. Sometimes I have to get a sweet and a savory. I can't help it.
A lot of times, sometimes I'll get a snack. More than what I get is usually a drink. Something to drink. Because will have run
usually
out of
get
something.
both.
I will have run out of something to drink by the time I'm
Sure.
wherever I am to stop. Because I will go 2.5 to 3 hours depending on different things before I stop again. So it kind
Gotcha.
of just depends on different things, how much I've had to drink already and things
Is
like
it
that.
typically the same type of snack? Are you like, do you have like go-to travel snacks?
Yeah, I usually get something salty.
Okay.
I'm not a big sweets person. I mean, I like sweets. I'm not a big sweets person. I think they're too hard to eat when you're driving down the road. So, and usually I'm driving. So,
Yeah.
I really like those the rye chips.
Oh, Gardettos.
Yes, love those
Yes,
things.
that's
And just the bag of just the rye chips.
Great
Don't
option.
get anything else. in
Goated.
it.
Goated snack choice.
Just the rye chips.
For sure. That's definitely up there.
I'm
I
so glad
love
that they make a bag of just the rye.
They know what the audience wants, for sure. Do you ever get combos, the little pretzel things?
I haven't had those since I was
Oh my
a kid.
gosh, that's a big one for me.
Okay.
I
The
love
ones
getting
that are
those,
like
but they're tiny.
filled with little
Yeah. And the cheese is really
paste or
good.
whatever, yeah.
But the pizza one is super good too.
Okay.
That's a go-to. And then, yeah, any type of Chex Mix is good, I feel. I like the bold, the black bag.
Yeah.
That seasoning's super good.
Okay.
Gardetto's such a good choice.
I think Gardettos are probably the number one that I get. So, I did think of a sweet. I like Sour Patch Kids.
Interesting.
Because they're kind of the same. They're just like individual little
Yeah,
pieces that I
well,
can just eat.
when I get a sweet, I get like if they haven't, not all like gas stations do, airports have this. I get like the bag of like the already unwrapped like mini like either Kit Kats or like Reese's cups. They have just like the little ones and like those the bag's about I don't know
Just
this
a little
big.
bag, but they're already unwrapped.
They're already unwrapped and they're just tiny mini versions, so they're like eating a chip, you know.
Okay.
So that's easy.
That would work.
Yeah, I got Kit Kats on the last flight, but they're just a little too easy to where I'll eat them all
Yeah.
in about 10 minutes,
that's
and then
like-
I have a tummy ache.
But that's like popcorn in a movie.
Yeah, 1,000%.
So,
So just have more self-control than me. It's very, very not hard. It's probably the easiest thing you could do. But
yeah.
those are my snacks.
Yeah, snacks. I like snacks. I like snacks.
I love them.
Sometimes overeating a meal, depending on like.
Girl dinner.
Well, I'm not a
heard-
girl, but yeah.
But have you heard of the
Yeah,
girl
I
dinner
know what
concept?
girl dinner is.
Oh,
Yeah.
if I'm traveling, every meal is girl dinner, girl lunch, girl. It's not a real meal, you know. It's just what snacks did I put together today to make my meal.
Is this for all meals when you travel?
Usually, just because it's like if we're not going anywhere and we're doing a lot of on to the next, like let's go check this out for a little bit. We just kind of get food throughout the day.
Okay.
You're not sitting down for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
So like my lunch, one day we were at the boardwalk. My lunch was ice cream, like an ice cream cone.
Mm-hmm.
And then like an iced coffee, and that was like kind of my breakfast and my lunch
Yeah.
together because it's just all I had in a certain span of time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Last flight question.
Mm-hmm. Back to the flights.
Yes. Are you nervous about flying? What does turbulence make you feel? Is that something like you maybe didn't used to care about, now you do care about?
So, I love roller coasters.
Okay.
Okay, there's a reason that I
Me
mentioned
too.
that.
No, I think we have the same reason.
So turbulence doesn't bother me for the most
Neither.
part because it feels like riding a roller coaster. And my thought process is that there's so few it's when a plane crashes, everybody dies. I get that, but it doesn't happen that often.
Right.
Like your chance of dying driving to work is like 1,000 times higher than dying in a plane crash because the planes just don't go down that
Yeah.
often. Now, it happens, and it's terrifying that it would happen. But when you're hitting turbulence and like dropping like that, you're so high, like you're not actually falling percentage-wise how far you are up.
Right.
You're not falling that much. 1. 2, I will say when we flew back, when I was coming back from my vacation, they said flying back into Colombia that there was some storms and they expected there to be turbulence. And that did make me a little more nervous than I expected it to be, too.
Just them saying that?
Yeah, just
Oh.
because they were because I've never heard them say that they were expecting heavy turbulence before.
Okay.
So that, like, the problem was I think the we're expecting heavy turbulence. So like, stay in your seats, strap in, don't leave unless you have to.
Yeah.
So that made me a little nervous. Now, we didn't really hit any. I mean, there was a couple little parts where you kind of shook a little bit. It was, but nothing at all that bad.
Right.
They did make me a little nervous though when they said that.
Interesting. I almost dare to say enjoy turbulence because once again, the odds of anything bad coming from it are so low.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of those people that really freaks out, and planes are kind of boring. So to me, it kind of like it spices things up, and it's just like a little. It makes it more fun.
Steve loves turbulence.
I do. It's something you just wouldn't.
Because planes are too boring. We need more turbulence.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, that's.
I thought I have told you this before. My thoughts on. Turbulence.
I don't know that I love turbulence. Like, I don't know that I want more turbulence, but I don't know that I have a problem. Like I said, it made me a little more nervous than I expected it to when it was flying back this time. Mm-hmm. But it didn't like.
You're not like voting for turbulence.
No, I'm not. No.
Okay.
No.
See, I would.
Yeah.
If I could get a little turbulence, I'm happy. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not a. No, I'm. I don't think I'm a turbulence. Like, I'm not gonna vote for it.
Okay.
Let's put it.
You're
that
voting
way.
against. I'm voting for.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's okay.
And that's America.
Sure, that works. So, okay, that's. So what do you do at airports? Like, you asked me what I do at airports, like finding a snack or sitting down or whatever. Usually I just sit down and listen to a podcast, like I said, and that's what I do on the flight too. Like, I get up to go to the bathroom. That's about the only time I get up.
Yeah. I try to use the bathroom. I mean, once again, it depends, like, did I get there on time? Am I running late? Whatever. Let's just say I have an hour to kill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find my gate, and I'm going to find the closest bathroom to that gate. Use the bathroom. The line's probably long. And then I'm going to get a snack. Try to just get one. And probably get a water.
Yeah.
And then I'll sit, and I'm one that I bring a book, and then I bring one of those, like, either Sudoku, crossword, word search type books, too. For like an activity.
Okay.
And then usually charge my AirPods, charge my phone while I'm sitting just to be safe. But yeah, then I'm just kind of sitting there waiting.
Okay.
Are you like well, you said you did first class, so that's different. I always check in as the second I'm allowed to check in, which is 24 hours before your flight. I have a reminder set on my phone to check in so I can get the earliest like seating.
I had already chose my seat before I got on the plane.
But you were first class.
Yeah.
So that's different.
Like when I bought the seat, I picked the seat. So
this is for all the people who can't do first class.
Well, I don't know that all flights either, because I think anywhere on this plane you could have picked the seat.
That's possible.
And I don't know. I know some airlines don't do that. I think different airlines are different with that. So
I've only flown Southwest for like.
I know
the
Southwest
past
is very
flights.
much like you get to pick.
So you check in.
I do check in. Did I check in?
No, we didn't get to pick. You check in, and then based on, I think, like, if you didn't, there's, like, some people, I think, like, family boarding, and there's a couple people that go first.
Yeah, but you just sit wherever, don't you?
Yeah, but you said you get to pick. So that's Southwest.
Well, sorry, I mean just, like, you sit wherever.
You get to pick the second you walk into the
when
plane.
you get on the plane, you sit down.
Yes.
Whereas I picked mine, like, when I booked the flight.
Right.
I did not check in until I got to the airport. I checked in at the kiosk.
Well, when you're in first class, you probably just don't have to. I'm checking in, so I am not the last person to board the flight.
But I also have took bag. Did you actually check a bag?
I never check bags.
Okay, see, I checked 2 bags when I went on vacation. So that's also part of it. Like I have to go and put those bags on the plane. So
that's true.
I don't but I was also gone for 2 weeks and not for
2 weeks,
not for 3 days or whatever. So Yeah. I don't know. What is your like if you're going on an actual vacation, like for a week or something,
Mm-hmm.
what is your bag? Like, do you take just one bag? Do you take more than one bag?
I'm always trying to just take like one bag,
Okay.
and then my carry-on is going to fit as many other
Things
things
as
as
it can.
possible.
Okay.
I never want to check bags. I just don't like dealing with it. I've also had bad luck with that, so I
Okay.
try to avoid it. Obviously, if I'm going somewhere for 2 weeks, there's no avoiding it.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is.
So I took a large bag
Mm-hmm.
that you could probably curl up and fit in,
Okay.
and then a smaller bag.
Yeah.
And then I had my like carry-on bag that was a little. It's just like a large fanny pack is basically what it was.
Yeah.
So that doesn't actually count as a carry-on. I found out.
Nice.
And when you fly first class, you get a free check bag, or you get 2 free check bags. So that's
Southwest, you get one
so
free.
yeah. So I didn't have to pay for the check bags, which was nice, or didn't have to pay extra for the check bags.
Nice, yeah.
I paid for it in the
Right.
first class ticket, but I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but when I came back, I didn't have enough space for all the stuff that I had bought in my bag.
Oh.
So I had to buy another bag to put things in. I bought a backpack so that could count as my carry-on,
Gotcha.
luckily.
Very nice.
So I still didn't have to pay anything extra because the backpack counted as carry-on, the fanny pack counted as, they call it a personal item. So,
That has not happened to me yet, but I could see it happening one day.
yeah.
But I think I would like pack another, not like suitcase, not like a hard shell, but I could see myself. I've considered packing an extra just empty bag in the suitcase, like flattening it down just in
duffel
case
bag?
I need it
Yeah.
later. Yes, to carry stuff home.
I think I thought about doing that, or did I actually do that? I may have come. No, I did do that. I came
you
back.
still
I
needed-
came back with 5 bags.
And you still needed the backpack
yeah,
that you
I
bought.
still needed to buy a backpack.
Oh, well, you did. I mean, you bought people stuff from Disney. You bought yourself, obviously, stuff. You
Yeah.
bought like all your friends' stuff. So
I
had a
had
ton.
to. Because I did have a duffel bag that I folded up and I put in one of my bags when I left. So I left with three like full. I left with 3
Right.
things full,
right,
and I came back with 5 things full.
nice.
That's a lot. I'm just now realizing that's a lot of fucking stuff. Also, I feel like dirty laundry takes up more space than clean laundry. I don't know if it's just because I don't fold it as nicely. Because it's usually just like
Never thought of that.
stuffed away. It weighs more. I know that.
Interesting.
I feel like it always weighs more.
It definitely feels like even if I'm not bringing stuff home, I feel like I have more stuff when I'm leaving. So maybe that is because it's all like dirty laundry.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I feel like there's more stuff. Well, I mean, when you're always bringing home stuff, so that's
Right, but even just like a weekend trip, I feel like I didn't shop. I'm not bringing anything home. It
But you
just
still
feels like
feel like you-
repacking to go home. You're just like, how did I get
Yeah.
all this here?
yeah.
So I could see that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's odd.
Well-
Traveling. I like traveling because it's fun,
Love-hate relationship.
but I like traveling. I like going places.
Yes.
Necessarily getting there is the worst
Yeah.
of it all.
I think that's the popular opinion.
Yeah.
Were you a good co-host this week?
Almost not, but
Okay.
but I was.
I like the
was-
honesty.
I was a good co-host.
Good.
I watched the movie last night. I was
Nice.
extremely tired and almost fell asleep, but
That's
I
kind
watched
of
it
the
last
perfect way to watch that movie. You're like almost a little loopy and you're just like
night. Yeah,
hazy.
we watched A Clockwork Orange.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch the whole thing like again?
I like watched the ending that I hadn't seen in a while.
Okay. There's a lot to that movie. It's a weird
And I think
movie.
that's why I enjoy watching it
It's a
multiple
trip.
times because I feel like you see something you didn't see before. It's like something new pops out every time I watch
Yeah.
it.
It's a trip.
I will say just as like an overall thought that I had,
Mm-hmm.
I was looking up some like synopsis. I was looking up like what people say about the movie, like Clockwork Orange explains stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always interpreting the movie probably, I mean, when was it made? 60s, 70s?
I think 70s, but I'm not sure.
It always gave me, and I didn't know that, but I knew it was made, decades ago, and I just figured this movie is supposed to take place in like the 70s.
71.
Yeah, and I thought,
No, it's a dystopian.
right,
like,
and I don't know why, I just never thought of it that way. So when I watched it, when I heard that, I like rethought the entire movie and how this is like a future where there's less rules and, there's more outlaws and people are less safe. So that's why they've kind of had to alter like the discipline, the reform process. Yes. So it made more sense after that.
It was, I realized as soon as not as soon as it started, but really quick into the movie that it was, I hadn't really paid attention to it.
Watching it?
I hadn't really paid attention to it the first time. Like, I remember watching it, but I didn't remember a lot of what happened.
Yeah.
But pretty quick into watching it this second time, almost after the first scene when they leave that bar or whatever, you can tell that it's a dystopian. Like, you can tell that it's dystopian.
Yeah, the way, now that I think about it, it's like the way they're talking, especially in the beginning, the way that guy they find, like, under the bridge, the way he's like, oh, everything's changed, there's no rules or whatever. So, but yeah, it's just such...
But it's a dystopian time with a look of the 70s.
Right. I think that's always what threw me off, because the clothes, the houses that you see, all the furniture is very 70s, very eccentric, like, and I love it. I love how the stuff is designed in that movie.
That's also, I think, a little bit how Kubrick is, isn't he? Like, he's a little out there with some of the stuff that he does.
Yeah, sure.
So that makes sense, but I didn't realize the budget for this movie was as low. I looked it up to find the date that it was made. I didn't realize the budget for this movie was as low as it was.
What is that?
In 70, when it was made, so in 71, it was 1.3 million.
Oh, wow.
And it grossed at the box office 114 million.
Oh my God.
100 times almost what it
Love that for them. They did great things with that budget, because it is like there's a lot to look at.
There is. There's a lot going on just in general.
Yeah.
Do you, at any point, did you feel bad for the main character?
No.
Okay. Me neither.
I never once watching it.
Me neither. But I could see where somebody would for, like what happens, like what they do to him. But he was also a terrible person, so it doesn't really matter.
Right.
And it seemed to me at the end that he was a terrible person again. Like he had gone back to that.
Right.
Which, I don't know if you paid attention to this. And we'll just really quick.
Super spoiler.
At the end, he talks about having a dream.
Like in the hospital?
When he's in the hospital. He talks about having a dream where he feels like people are prodding around in his head and changing things. Mm-hmm. And he talks about having that recurring dream several times. And the psychologist that's there just kind of gives him like a weird, nervous look almost. And they never really say anything else about it. But at the end, he's having like a dream about violence and sexual activity, which he had been trained to not.
For it, but right.
So did they mess with his head? Is my question. Like, was that a dream that he had that they were messing with his head, or was that actually something that happened?
I think that was
like reprogramming,
symbolizing that, like, you can almost undo being reformed.
Okay.
And if you are truly sick in the head enough, like, and you don't get, because they stop all of the, the disciplining at some point, and they stop making them watch all those videos and stuff. And maybe and it seemed also like this was this was still something they were like experimenting with. Obviously, this.
Oh yeah, it was. It was an experiment.
That's now, right?
The whole point of it is it was an experiment thing,
right? And I think that's the main reason people were visiting him in the hospital, to like check up and see, okay, how is the experiment going? Are you still reformed? And I think that was the movie being like.
So no, at the end. But when the last scene in the hospital, before that even happens, you see that they've already like stopped this whole thing. They've already stopped the whole process because people are mad that he tried to kill himself. So they're like, oh, this didn't work. We lost. We failed. So they are already done with this.
But maybe that was just the way of showing to the audience, like, it didn't stick.
I don't know.
guess.
That's possible.
But I think when because he goes back to the house he initially, like, that couple that they, like, assaulted and, like, robbed their house or whatever. He goes back there, and the guy who lives there actually helps him and lets him, like, take a bath. And he starts singing, and that's how the guy knows
realizes that it's
the
him.
criminal. Yeah. And I always watch that scene and try to think, like, I don't know, there's just something so creepy about it that he's, like, singing that same song.
Yeah.
When he's back in that house.
It
makes the guy realize that it's him. I feel like that was symbolizing, like, a turning point of, like, oh no, he's going back to his old ways.
Yeah.
Being in that house, seeing it. I don't know. I always thought that scene was, like, super important, trying to figure out why they put it there and,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
So
it's an interesting movie.
It's super interesting. It's just don't watch it with, like, family.
No.
It's dark.
Yeah, very dark. It was good. I don't know that I need to watch it again.
I'll probably watch it again one day.
I mean, I might in the future.
Yeah.
But it didn't...
It's disturbing.
It's extremely disturbing. And I don't know, it just didn't... There was a couple times where we've talked about this before, like, I rate, to a certain extent, a movie, how many times I have to stop, and if I have to look and see how much time there is left, or what I get up and do while I'm watching it. Because sometimes, if it's a really good movie, I'll just sit there and watch it.
Yeah.
Because I do all these in one sitting.
Yeah.
Or at one time, anyway. Or I'll get up, and if it's boring, sometimes I'll get up and do laundry or fold laundry or do something like that. And I think I got up once, and I checked the time, like, once during this movie. So there was a couple times where it just, I don't know. It's not something that I need to probably watch anytime soon again.
There's a couple I forgot to mention. I can only think of one in particular, but I think there's a couple scenes that I do skip. That
There's
I'm just
a couple
like
scenes that you skip?
Just like seconds that I'm just like, oh, I know what happens. I don't care to watch this because it is pretty tough. It's, like, just the assaulting.
Oh, yeah.
I don't...
Like the assault and the rape scenes? Yeah,
I don't need to see that for the fifth time.
Terrible.
But the movie and the ambiance and the setting and the characters, I do enjoy watching all of that. But yeah, the crime that takes place is a little scary. I don't need to see that.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. That's the whole...
Right, but I know
idea.
it.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm watching this to remember it, but there's a lot of important parts that don't necessarily take place in a crime scene.
There are. I remembered a little bit about the crime at the house. Like that.
The couple's house?
Yeah,
or
the couple's house. Okay. I didn't remember the whole theater scene when, like, the two rival gangs are attacking each other. I did not remember that at all.
Yeah.
Like
in the very, very beginning.
Yeah. Like
that
second
is,
or
like,
third
the
scene.
Creepiest
Yeah.
Scene ever.
Yeah, it's all horrifying, really. But what are we watching this week?
The Maltese Falcon. So
I think
tune in
that's,
next week.
Yeah, tune in next week and we'll talk about that. I don't even know what that one's about. I'm really not sure.
Me either. I just know that Will really wants to watch it, so I'm going to ask if he wants to watch it tonight.
Okay, well, that works.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you guys want to watch it with us, then have fun doing that, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.